Hello again. Um, yeah, as you can see, it is about 10:30, and so yeah, it's not that late, but it's a little bit late. I just got done taking a shower, and I was thinking I was gonna do this recording before I took a shower, but I was like, I'll take a shower first and then do the recording. But now I kind of gotta get into the mood to do this, so I just said screw it, just hit the record button and start. Um, but yeah, this is gonna be more of like kind of a little variety hour sort of thing where I just have like a laundry list of topics that I thought about while I was doing stuff today or whatever, just looking at stuff today. And I decided to just make some notes and figured I'd talk about them a little bit. Um, yeah, the first one was this one's just I kind of organized the list in terms of like stuff that I would just kind of quickly go off and then just kind of go into more like potentially long topics in the middle and then like extra stuff at the end kind of deal. Um, so with the English language thing, did and you know how language is all like fucked up and purposely designed to be like fucked up and obfuscated and everything and weird. Did you know that effervescence is a word or effervescence? Effervescence. I don't know. I heard this on a video that was talking about like how to make like this thing like ginger bug, which is just like basically naturally carbonated or yeah, naturally like kind of carbonated drinks kind of with use of like uh you know fermentation to make the bubbles instead of stuff like carbon monoxide or dioxide, whatever, or whatever it's called, the to make stuff bubbly. And that's what effervescence means, is the escape of gas from an aqueous solution, foamy or fizzy, natural ebb, ebb, what? Ebb, yeah, right, oh wow, that one I can't, ebul, ebishian, I don't know how the fuck to say that word. Commotion of fluid that which takes place when some sort of mess of what? Weird, weird way it's described, but yeah, effervescence. Just one of those strange words. A weird topic to start with. Um, Second topic. This one's once again pretty stupid, but so any I guess positive any Thanksgiving plans for anybody out there or whatever. Me, I guess it's sort of confirmed that we're going to, or at least that our my uncle and his girlfriend or whatever, uh, they're throwing it, not throwing, but they're having Thanksgiving dinner or whatever at their house. So we're most likely just going there, and I'm probably gonna make at least two things. This let's see, what is it? Bosque Bosque cheesecake, which essentially is a cheesecake with a slightly different um recipe than a say a New York style cheesecake, which is the ones that I've normally made. It has more cream and a little bit less cream cheese. More heavy cream and a little less cream cheese and a few other differences. But the main difference is that there's no bottom crust or whatever you want to call it. And you just put the stuff in there, but you have it in parchment paper to contain it. But also the difference, you don't use a water bath. I guess you don't need a water bath technically, but I've always used a water bath and they've always came out pretty well. But you don't need a water bath, or you don't want a water bath, and you cook it at a pretty high temperature, like 70, 50 to 75 degrees higher than the other cheesecakes I've made. So you basically purposely burn the shit out of it to some extent. Like, yeah, you don't want to like completely char it, but you kind of burn it to give the outside like this slightly crispy, caramelized kind of like texture and flavor, whereas the inside is like creamy and stuff like that. It sounds pretty good. I'll have to see how it comes out. And then the other one is Pignoli cookies, which are things that I only remember from when I was a kid, and my dad's side grandmother, she would buy these things at these Italian bakeries and stuff, like just a variety of cookies, and she would buy these sometimes. I never, as a kid, I never liked them, like almost at all. I remember I just never like enjoyed them or whatever. There's a lot of things as a kid that I didn't like that I like now. Obviously, that's just kind of how it works. But yeah, they're basically just like a mixture of like almond paste and a mixture of almond paste, which makes the cookie base. So it's like an almond based cookie dough kind of deal. And then you kind of uh, roll them in these things called pignoli nuts, which are just pine nuts. And then you bake them with that. And they basically just a almond kind of cookie with pine nuts all over it. Um, and yeah, I'm pretty sure they're decent. One thing that's fucked up about them is the pine nuts um are like per weight their fucking price is like absurd. Like I just ordered some to use them. I got this 1 pound bag, 16 ounces. 16 ounces equals 1 pound, and fucking 1 pound bag of these nuts. 20, basically $22. And if since it's 16 ounces, I looked at the stuff at our store, like our local store and stuff, and a 4 ounce container, so you'd need four of these to get the same amount, are $9 each. So it would be fucking $36. $36 if I went to the store to get the same amount. It's just fucking like, you probably don't need that many, but I'll have to see, I guess, because 1 pound's not that much. Like, but yeah, these fucking pine nuts are extremely expensive. Uh, but yeah, that part went on longer than expected. But yeah, that's kind of my Thanksgiving plans, I guess, or whatever. Not that it fucking matters, but at least it'll give me an opportunity to bake some different things, I guess. Um, so apparently it was kind of funny yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I was just on the computer and then I noticed like the mouse. I saw like the little loading bar or the loading circle going on. Just like I wasn't doing anything and then it just going on. I was like, oh, looks like Windows doing some bullshit. And then I got this fucking pop up that was I wish I took a screenshot of it just because it was so stupid. It was like by the way, like Windows 10 is no longer getting security updates anymore, kind of shit, or is no longer being supported, that kind of thing. And I knew about this because I watched like a video or two when they were talking about taking Windows 10 out of support or whatever, like no longer giving it security updates soon. So basically, the only option for people that give a fuck about that are Windows 11. But it is just funny to see the fucking the pushing of it And it's funny as fuck too because this computer, while it is not like incredible, it is a lot better than so many people's like computers out there, and um it's not even compatible with or it's not, it doesn't even meet the minimum requirements for Windows 11. Not that I would want, not that I would want, and not that I would uh like willingly accept Windows 11 at all because it's a piece of shit. Um, but even if I did, this computer, even though it's not like that bad of a, it's not great, but it's not like, it's way better than so many people's computers out there. It's not even it doesn't even meet the minimum requirements for Windows 11. So it's like, wow, what fucking computers out there that people are just like normies and shit or just office workers? What fucking computers are uh do meet the minimum requirements that would be like in these fucking offices, like these shitty PCs, pre-built PCs or whatever, that would meet the minimum requirements? Like, what the fuck, man? I mean, it's so obvious, not Noke or whatever you want to say, pushing fucking bullshit. Um, and I see it more and more as just they're just pushing more people to basically kind of be forced to switch to Linux eventually, I think. Um, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I used a good few months ago, I did use Linux because what my other computer was getting kind of fucked. And I tried a few things and I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. Let me try Linux. And I used Linux for like 2, maybe 3 months. Like just dove into it kind of deal. And it was very difficult to, I mean, I did use Linux Mint, so it wasn't that hard to like get into it initially, but just so many of the little different things, the processes were so much like different that I wasn't used to because of having always used Windows beforehand. It was a lot to figure out and get used to. And I did like it quite a bit, actually. I did, in many ways, I did like it, but there were so many other things that were just so fucking obnoxious. Like, there were certain programs that just didn't, like, really exist. Or if I wanted to do certain things, I had to jump through all these fucking hoops, through the command lines, look up so many tutorials on these specific, like, things. And it was just fucking annoying. And then kind of like one of the main things that I was like, I don't think I want to use, I don't think I can keep using this, is like so many programs. I mean, I already use a lot of like open source or like, um, free and kind of open source like software, stuff like that. Um, so that wasn't too strange to just because I was just using most of the same programs I already used, but certain other ones just did not like work, or they worked a lot worse, or like certain other weird, just like other weird little quirks that it was just a pain in the ass. And like one of the big annoying things is like I couldn't use uh like Unity, and this isn't necessarily like anything with Linux's fault, but Unity, the Unity editor fucking really doesn't care for Linux. So even though it worked, there were certain things that didn't work. Like I couldn't use like oh wait, no, that was also the other thing. Visual Studio Code I think didn't work, or Visual Studio didn't work at all with Linux, which I guess makes some sense since it's a Windows thing, but it didn't work at all with Linux. Um, so I tried to use Visual Studio Code, which is like a different IDE, which is a good IDE. It's just it didn't have the same debugging features that Visual Studio had with the Unity editor, which was kind of a big problem. And I was just like, man, and it was just so many other little things. Linux is great, and I probably will eventually be going back. Oh yeah, also playing certain games on it was a pain in the ass. Modding games, like if I tried to play Fallout New Vegas or some shit, which all those many months ago I was trying to do. It was just so much fucking bullshit to jump through all this crap to even get something potentially working. It was just so annoying compared to Windows, just because everything is built for Windows, because that's like 90%, if not more, of like the people who use computers and stuff, their operating system is Windows based, or is Windows in some way. Um, but yeah, I have a feeling that eventually it's just gonna be everybody besides like besides these companies and offices and shit like that are just gonna be pushed towards Linux, which is probably some kind of thing that they're pushing for. But yeah, maybe it's a good thing. Is Linux being an open source kind of thing and all that, much more freedom per se compared to Windows and Mac and all that. Uh, but yeah, we'll see. I just found it funny, the fact that they're like, all right, now they're pushing Windows 10 going away, kind of, and Windows 11, and nobody can even use it. For most people can't even use it. Uh, this one was a kind of weird topic that I just thought about. I was watching some like here, I'll put on some music. Fuck it. I kind of forgot that I had music ready, but yeah, I'll put on some music. Hopefully it's not too distracting or whatever. Yeah. Um, but what was it? I was watching some this channel that has been doing this series talking about the Famicom disk system, which is a console that was only released in Japan because, I mean, that's the Famicom was the NES for Japan, where like, yeah, that was the NES for Japan. But this was specifically the, I guess, either a expansion, like a disc-based expansion for the Famicom, or possibly a whole different system with that primarily used disc. I'm guessing it was more of an expansion, probably. But either way, this one channel talks about, like, has been talking about like, every Famicom disk system game that was released, which relatively there was, like, very few compared to other consoles. It was a very small system kind of thing. Not a very popular one overall, but, yeah, for whatever reason, the game that was talked about today was something like some adventure game, text-based adventure kind of game, and it was based on the story Journey to the West, and I don't know why, but that kind of triggered in my mind. I'm like, man, fucking so many games and so much media is based on this fucking Journey to the West story that I'm just like, man, this shit is fucking system not milk push, this fucking Journey to the West shit. And I just wanted to kind of bring it up as like we know so many of the as Matt would call it, stuffed Lenins or Humpty Dumptys within our like Western culture. Like we know so many of those things like Humpty Dumpty and all these other things. But I think, which is funny now I think about it, it's called Journey to the West, but I'm talking about in the Eastern culture or whatever, in the Eastern world, the Journey to the West is one of those things that is just fucking a stuffed Lenin, Humpty Dumpty pushed in everything, even if it's... I've never read the Journey to the West, but I kind of know the general thing. Like, it's just kind of this weird fucking adventure thing, and it's probably alright, but I doubt it's as good. I doubt it's so good that it deserves to be pushed as hard as it is throughout all of culture and all this shit constantly, because it really is. Like, fucking... The original Dragon Ball was based on Journey to the West. This game, Journey to the West... I know that's not this fucking game. Journey to the West. That recent game, whatever Wukong or whatever... I don't know if it's necessarily based on Journey to the West, but at least the Wukong character, I think, kind of comes from the Journey to the West in general. That recent modern AAA or double A release or triple A from China, that Wukong game. And just so many countless other examples, like Journey to the West. This is based on Journey to the West, Journey to the West. I've just heard it so many fucking times that it's like, that shit is 100% fucking stuffed Lenin, Humpty Dumpty. Just wanted to put that out there. Now kind of the main topic I wanted to talk about, even though I've rambled on pretty long on these 4 little topics here or whatever, was the... I mean, I know I've talked about this a lot recently, but it's just been coming up more and more. I guess it's just how it works. But the recent and constant bastardization and destruction of quote-unquote history for the history of various games and franchises of, like, just games in general and just game franchises themselves. Either be it through remakes, bad remakes specifically, just anything that destroys the legacy or history or the like these things that existed once and then are made shit and then ruins like the kind of original thing in a way. Like that stuff recently it seems to have be on like hyperdrive, super drive, turbo drive recently, and I just have so many like examples that have been coming up, and that's like I said, the primary reason I wanted to make this video is just kind of like listing out those things, is it kept coming up. I'm like, man, there's so many fucking examples recently, and there's even more than I have like on this list of this. This is just like this is just the ones that I was able to think of, like, kind of off the top of my head, or that came up to me, that I felt were, like, worth noting, I guess. But I guess the first one, this guy that I'm subscribed to, that I do enjoy his stuff, even though I don't, yeah, but, you know, he's an edgy YouTuber channel, contrarian kind of thing. At least that's, like, his whole thing, is that he talks about things that people don't like. He talks about the anti-woke kind of culture kind of shit, just like the movie reviewers, kind of, but he seems to understand. I don't know how to say it, like he's more of the first grade truther kind of shit, where he understands that there's that there's something wrong, but he doesn't understand the implications of it. Like, he sees that he doesn't see behind the curtain necessarily. He just kind of sees that something is wrong. But he doesn't. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to describe it. So I'm sure, yeah, just like these reviewers and shit, they're saying like something is wrong, but they don't have the right approach to it, or they don't have the right thing to point at, which there really isn't anything to point at, but, you know. But he does this podcast recently, or he's been doing more of this like kind of like really slapped together podcast he's been doing with like his brother. Pretty sure it's his brother. And one of the things they talked about, I didn't even know about that this was going on, but they brought it up in the podcast, and I was like, oh, okay. Fucking, I guess this year's 2024, the Game Awards are like, just as they have becoming worse and worse, they just keep getting worse. And this year is just like a fucking an insult to an insult, basically, because the fucking games that are being nominated for all these like retarded awards in different categories and stuff are just like ridiculous. How they can even consider them, some of them even like to be up there. Like they have an Elden Ring, that Elden Ring DLC, the most recent DLC, I guess, for Elden Ring. Like it's not even a fucking game. It's the DLC for a game, and it's being nominated as potentially Game of the Year when it's a fucking DLC. Like it's a DLC, which shouldn't even like count when you think about it. And it's being nominated for like many things, and it's just like what the fuck. And it's just a once again just a blatant display of how much that like everything in the industry is being destroyed. Um, that or just like there's no good games out there that you literally have to nominate a fucking DLC. Like that's the only shit that's come out of any worth apparently. Like is a DLC. There's nothing else supposedly, like or at least that they're putting on their nominations. I mean, so many other things like how the obvious woke things and the agenda pushing, the companies that are supposedly making the votes or making the nominations and stuff like all ESG pushing and all that kind of shit. So so clearly obvious uh the things there, but just a note on the just that it is a thing and is a check mark on the once again getting worse and destroying the industry and all that shit kind of stuff. Um, the recent news about I guess Sega going to be removing a bunch of classic games they had on that they had released on Steam, stuff like probably I think like almost all of their like classic games that I guess they released on Steam at some point. Like probably they've probably been up there for years, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're removing them, and they didn't give any like plans on that they're gonna say that, oh yeah, we're gonna release like a compilation or anything like that. Just they're just like pretty much for no reason removing a whole shit ton of games that in a lot of cases you probably can't even really necessarily get anymore, besides like physical copies, um, off of Steam for like really no reason. So very obvious kind of attempt to destroy history and stuff like that, and the attack against history of games and preservation of art and stuff, just like that whole thing. Like one of the clearest examples, just like for no reason apparently, no good reason, just boom, off of Steam. Not that I even like Steam necessarily, due to the whole DRM shit, but at the same time, it's they're taking it away for really no reason, and it's been up there for years. And that just means that there's less ways to play these old games that, once again, like I said, attack on the preservation and history of them. Um, the recent Silent Hill 2 remake, um, basically just being a worse version of the original in terms of the gameplay might be better, like more comfortable, but I mean, I didn't play Silent Hill 2. I was never that much, but the guy that I was watching, he was like, he thinks that it's like one of his favorite games because the entire game and like the messages of it and stuff like that. Like it's a game that really spoke to him personally, and I know it did for a lot of other people too. And it was a very interesting, different experience, especially for the time. And the story is very like dark and story is very dark, depressing, but at the same time uplifting in some way. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it's Silent Hill 2, I guess great game for its time and still probably decent if you played it today if you just did it mostly for the story and stuff. But at the same time, it was designed the way it was for a reason when it was released. Like the clunky controls were kind of there for a reason because it made the game more tense, more scary, more survival horror-ish. Whereas when you have more modern controls, or the remake, you have more modern controls. It has become basically like an action game, and most of the tension goes away when you don't have that kind of lack of control, or the clunkiness of the tank controls, and the lack of ammo and less enemies because of that. But also certain things like camera angles being changed, and it makes like some scenes make no sense or not play right. The changing of voice actors for everybody, the changing in of the kind of like how things look, just everything, like everything that being changed. Like you could say from a fidelity standpoint, it's better, but that doesn't really mean shit. But the actual main purpose of the original piece has been bastardized, and at least from what I saw from that guy's review of it and actually playing it, I'm just like, yeah, I can clearly see that this is just a bastardized version of the original. Like, the story is shittier. They have censored many things. Like, many things have been censored, and so many things that were important to the themes of the game and the character that you're playing in the game, like certain uh sexual themes and stuff, or certain like graphics, or certain enemies, or certain rooms even changed or censored in some ways, or the way that like voice, how some dialogue is, it just made it ruined a lot of those things. And that's, as somebody watching this right now, I'm sure you probably have an idea. What I'm saying here is that, yeah, they've a remake has ruined the history of this game that was beloved at some point, and people still liked it. But now that they made a remake, anybody who sees it be like, I mean, they won't on a normie level, but on a deeper level, it ruined the history of that game. It ruined the legacy of that game. Or at the very least, it worsened it. It poisoned it. Um, Next one, I don't really have that many great examples of, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up because it is true. Like something like Minecraft, throughout like so much of its history, or whatever you want to say, for how long it's been around, for a long fucking time at this point, it's just steadily gotten worse and worse and worse, and it keeps getting worse in the hands of the company that in this case Microsoft, that owns it, as well as the company that develops the game, Mojang or whatever, owned by Microsoft now. But the team just does a shit job. Uh, they release content in such a fucked up way. Like every time they release something, it's like this massive amount of drama. They just have this stupid shit, always excuses. It's just stuff that obviously the modding community has been doing so much better in so many ways, and apparently this multi-billion-dollar company can't fucking get stuff done or whatever. Now, in this case, yeah, as well as just the kind of feel of the game Minecraft. Like when I played it, it has become like a completely different game to what it used to be, and it just keeps gradually just kind of getting worse and worse. Like it's becoming something that it wasn't, compared to like what it was, kind of deal. Some people might not agree with that, but I think that, yeah, Minecraft. Like I have no desire to play that game, and it's just gotten so much. Like I would much prefer to play the original versions, or some of the more earlier versions, like 1.14 or whatever the hell, that like those like old versions, uh rather than the current modern like releases for it and shit. And it just, to me, I just see it just getting worse, and that's no surprise, I guess. um Very recent news is that Activision, or I guess Activision Blizzard, or Blizzard in this case, was celebrating Warcraft as a franchise's 30th anniversary. Um, And they did a bunch of stuff due to this. They did a bunch of stuff due to this. They did like a remaster of Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2. Mostly just like kind of remastered graphics and like some quality of life improvement stuff, and I guess making some of them easier to run on modern systems and stuff. And they released a pretty large update for Warcraft 3, which is funny because a few years back they released Warcraft 3 Reforged, which completely fucked up so many other things. But that's kind of like a whole different story, even though that, like, I mean, yeah, they fucked up so many things with this Reforged those years back. But now they released this update, like, seemingly trying to fix those fuck ups. But ironically, they've just made it kind of worse at the same time. As well, if they call it, they've brought up like a lot of, from this, they brought up a lot of community drama into this mix, and people like infighting and stuff. And even the stuff from Warcraft 1 and 2 is not just all like great and amazing, because it's not. And for Warcraft 3, even with this, like, they have so much shit going on, like AI generated, AI upscaled graphics. Like, properly doing like this, instead of properly doing these remasters for these games, they just kind of like threw a bunch of shit for the most part into some kind of a like fairly surprisingly like shitty AI upscaling program, and basically said, okay, it's good, you know, and then just put it out there, even though it has so many other like problems and inconsistencies if you actually like start looking at it a little bit more closely. Certain styles are clashing or not like there, or like not interpreted correctly from the upscaling process and other things. And just so much of this like half-assed fucking shit that Blizzard has been doing for like years now. But that whole theme is that they've just been bastardizing their history. Especially with Warcraft 3, um when they did the Reforged remake, or yeah, I guess I don't know what you call it, remake or whatever. Um they fucked up so much shit from that, like within the actual game's code, and they changed so many things, and they basically destroyed like even being able to play the original Warcraft 3 like in its original form. Like they basically made it impossible to kind of do that now, almost impossible. But for the most part, like if you try to download Warcraft 3, like now you get Warcraft 3 Reforged like no matter what. So unless you have like, I don't even know if you could use your original CD keys if you have your old disc, possibly. Maybe if you play on like some old fucking Windows XP computer or something, not connected to the internet, I don't know. But something like that. They basically destroyed the original, and now people have been stuck with this Reforged version and have just kind of had to deal with it. Um, with no, from what it seems like, with no like plans on them actually like allowing you to go back or just have like two different versions or something like that. Like that's not what they want. Obviously, they just want to destroy the history. At least that seems to be what the download is making these people do, or whatever, destroy the games and destroy the history of them. And just a funny note on the gematria thing is that the patch the patch number, yeah, the last patch for in Warcraft 3, I just found this interesting. The last patch in Warcraft 3 that they did before releasing Reforged a few years ago. Actually, yeah, I didn't even think of that part. Now that part too is Reforged released in like 2020 or some shit, like basically around when the CV started, kind of. Um, and guess what the patch number was just before they released Reforged and fucked so many things over? 1.31 or 1.31. What's what's 1.31 make you think of? At least to me, 311. 311. Gee, ain't that a quinky dink? Just like 311 when the CV was first announced in like 2019 or 2020, whatever. Gee, I know Matt when he brings up anything. I know he's not into the gematria stuff that much, but like, um, John LeBon and this other guy, Tim Osmond or whatever, they talked about the 311 stuff a lot. Um, and so I still see the 311 just basically as the same as 911 or 911, 711, whatever. I see those like when I see either of them, like right now, even on the clock, it's fucking funny as hell. 311 or 1311, whatever, but same shit, 311 on the fucking clock right now. Gee, ain't that a funny coincidence? But yeah, I see 311 as the same, not the same, but it's the same kind of connotations of importance as 911. It signified the start of the next big event happening kind of deal. And in the US, 911 is the emergency telephone, but I think in Europe, 311 is the emergency stuff. So, ooh, gee. Oh, wow. Coinkydink. Now the next topic, just once again, bastardization. World of Warcraft. I haven't been paying like almost any attention to World of Warcraft recently, but sometimes it just comes up in my feed and all that stuff. But they've just been like fucking. It's a mess with that game now. World of Warcraft. Like they have like 50 different types of versions of the game that you could play now. Like the entire community split to like they got like fucking classic plus and then like classic uh certain different expansions for classic and some versions of classic you can't play, whatever the fuck. Like you got all these different things and then they got like this fucking stupid what would you call that, extraction shooter kind of, or not shooter but extraction, what's the name, I forget the name. Whatever that popular game mode is where you have nothing and then you just get dropped into this place and then it's like you find shit and then try to kill other people to get their shit until you're the last person standing, whatever that's called, the extraction type of game thing or some shit. And they've just been like, and the expansions, they've just been like, I don't know, I have no interest at all, but World of Warcraft, that's fucked too. As far as I'm concerned, that's fucked too, and that's been fucked for a long time, but even more fucked. Um, this one I wanted to just talk about on the destroying of certain things and stuff like that. So, the I don't know much about like Dragon Ball, like, and Dragon Ball's like history in terms of the anime and the mangas and stuff like that, and like what certain things were released. But the most recent thing that has been released for Dragon Ball in terms of like anime, I guess, new anime or whatever, has been this show Dragon Ball Daima. Dragon Ball Daima, which was supposedly like yeah, that's his name, I think. Akira Toriyama's basically like last official thing that he worked on or some shit. And for whatever reason, they decided now to like kind of like make an anime out of it or some shit like that. And people were like pretty hyped about it. They're like, "Oh man, we haven't had like new Dragon Ball stuff in like the longest time. This is crazy. This is going to be amazing and shit." and it's from Akira Toriyama himself, and it's gonna be so great. And now that people have been watching like a few episodes, see, there's so many people that are just coping, saying, "Oh man, it's so amazing" and all this shit. But then you have people that are actually being honest and like watching it, and they're like, "Man, we're on I haven't watched any of it because I don't give a fuck, but I just wanted to talk about it because I found it funny when it gets brought up." But people actually being honest, they're like, we're on episode 6 already, and like nothing has happened, and like nothing has happened, um, and it's already been like half of the episodes have been like filler episodes, and it's giving the same like notes and kind of vibes as this one version, or whatever you want, this one arc, or whatever you want to call it, of the show, which was that Dragon Ball, what was it, Dragon Ball GT. People really disliked it because it was like it was just trying to like kind of be the original Dragon Ball, but like different, and like the storyline was kind of like stupid and shit like that. But this Dragon Ball Daima is giving the same exact vibes as that, and yet people were so hyped for it, and then they're like, "Wow!" So I guess Akira Toriyama is kind. At least the people that are being honest, it seems like, yeah, Akira Toriyama was kind of a fucking hack at this time or whatever. At this point, um, so I don't know. Just once again, one of those things. Fucking it just destruction of the history or the legacy or whatever of the whatever, like destruction of even this of Akira Toriyama's legacy. I don't even like Akira Toriyama that much, like, because I realized that guy was a fucking basically a sellout motherfucker, not milk sellout motherfucker, apparently, because look what he did to it. Look what he let his fucking show become. And he was along for like the entire ride, just getting his money and shit. Like he didn't disown it or anything like that. He fucking was going along the entire time. So it's like, man, I can't say that I necessarily like that guy that much, but still, the legacy purposely being destroyed. There was really no reason for this Dragon Ball Daima thing to exist, and it's so clear that, yeah, it's still it's shit, and now they're making it even more shit. Um, this one game, and this one I wanted to talk about. This one, I don't know why this one made me think about it a lot, but this topic. Um, this game called Dragon Ball: The Breakers, which is like, I guess, Dead by Daylight. I don't really know Dead by Daylight, but it's basically an asymmetrical um multiplayer thing where you have one like killer and then like a few survivors against that killer trying to survive. And the killer is extremely strong generally compared to the survivors, but they have the numbers over the killer or whatever, the one person, like just like that other game that got canceled. But yeah, asymmetrical multiplayer thing, whatever. But in this case, it is 1 versus 7, 7 survivors against one raider. Um, and it is all obviously in the Dragon Ball theme and universe and stuff like that. And it's much different in this case. Like, most Dragon Ball games are like fighting games for the most part. So this game is way more different and more unique in that sense than most of the other Dragon Ball games that have ever been released. But this game has never really done that amazing in terms of like numbers, player numbers, and it never been that popular. But I recently started, like a few months ago, got interested in it for whatever reason, just because that one guy would be playing it, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. I wouldn't really ever consider playing it myself, especially because the game is a fucking gotcha game with its monetization model, gotcha game and shit. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not playing that fucking bullshit. I see through that bullshit right away. No thanks. But kind of fun to watch. Um, um, But they released uh just recently, like 2 days ago, their season 7 anniversary or whatever. And this season was like pretty highly anticipated by the community, the small community as it is. Because the previous season went on for way too long, and it had some of like the least content that they've ever seen out of any season, pretty much, and it went on way too long with that little amount of content. And they're like, man, season 7 has to be amazing, or this game is fucked, basically. And they were thinking so many of them were thinking that season 7, and they were like holding it off. They even delayed the season 7 release for like a month extra, but then they actually dropped it, and it was a massive disappointment. The least amount of content they've ever seen ever in this season 7 anniversary. Fucking like complete disaster in terms of those that were expecting it to be like something that might revitalize the game. And it's like basically anyone not coping is like, this game, they're gonna shut this shit down soon. Like they're not gonna be making like many more seasons after this or whatever. But anyway, besides all that shit, like obviously, yeah, they're killing the game and stuff. Not surprising for the company that owns it, obviously, and any of these companies. But killing this game that a lot of people, not a lot, but people saw potential in and stuff, that some people did really like and love and stuff like that. Um, but besides that, I found that what they released and some of the kind of like symbolism, kind of like really strange. Like they released a raider that isn't really like what one would consider like one of these raiders, like a villain or whatever. I didn't know about these characters. The I guess these characters came from a Dragon Ball movie, probably the most recent movie for the Dragon Ball series, which is called like Dragon Ball Superhero or some shit. Uh, all the movies, I guess, for Dragon Ball that have been released over the years are not considered canon or whatever, but people still like them and stuff generally to some extent. Um, but you got these two like androids, Gamma 1 and 2 Dragon Ball. Yeah, you got these two androids that fucking look just like fucking Ultraman or whatever, basically. But you got fucking this other guy, which is Max, and let's see, Red Ribbon Army. I don't know anything really about the movie itself, but I just kind of the characters that were released as playable things and important to this release for season 7, I find very interesting, even though this is just me probably reading too much into it, but it's clear to me that there's some kind of coincidence symbolism going on here. Um so the biggest thing was I'm having a hard time like describing it. But one of the characters that in this case is the, I think, main antagonist for this thing, basically, or at least he's the bad guy that releases the main kind of antagonist, big bad guy. But this guy called Magenta, fucking this fucking guy Magenta. Um, And yeah, I just thought right away. I was like, I didn't know any of these characters, and then I heard it. I was like, wait a minute, Magenta? The guy's fucking name is Magenta, and he wears like a magenta colored suit and shit. Um, and I was just like, right away, I was like, okay, there's fucking the Magenta right there. um, And it's funny too because what was it? The you got you got the two androids that are like supposed to be good guys. This guy's a bad guy, even though they're not sure if he's a bad. I mean, they're not initially sure like he's a bad guy. He just kind of like pulls a twist on the characters and stuff, kind of, even though the viewers, I'm sure, know that he's the bad guy. Leader of this, or something like that. What is he? Son of Commander Red Ribbon. So I guess, yeah. Fuck. Oh my god! I didn't even fucking notice that. Jesus Christ. This is so much fucking bullshit symbolism. You got fucking Magenta here. This guy, Magenta, he's the son of the commander of Red Ribbon Army, president of Red, as well as the president of Red Pharmaceuticals. Fucking. Oh my god. Just pharmaceuticals, just right away. Just thinking of CV, fucking pharmaceuticals. Current public face of the Red Ribbon Army. I guess makes me think of Dr. Fauci in a way, kind of. Um, that or fucking Bill Gates, who knows? But you got fucking two androids, two machines, and then Selmax himself is an android. Yeah, so what was it? There was a 33 somewhere that I was thinking of. I guess technically the Red Ribbon. I think R is 21. Alphabet numbered. Uh A B C D E F G. Oh no. No, I'm wrong. R is, well, I guess you could say 1 plus 8, 9, 9. I guess you could say it. I was thinking for some reason that R was 21, so I was thinking 2 plus 1 is 3, 33, because Red Ribbon 33, but no. Guess I'm just making shit up there, huh? But that's funny as fuck, though. Fucking Red Pharmaceuticals, Magenta. Um, but this guy, Magenta, he's the one who releases this monster Cell Max, which is just fucking just lazy as shit. Was the shoot the whoop Cell from the original Cell Saga, and I don't even know what the hell his story is in this case. I guess he get recreated as super ultra berserk Cell somehow, or some dumb shit. It sounds really fucking stupid, but Cellmax gets released by this guy, and the animation. Oh yeah, you know what? Fucking, and this guy in English, at least in the game, uh, the guy Magenta is voiced by Charles Martinet, or Charles how do you say his name? Charles Martinet, or Martinet, or whatever. The guy who used to voice Mario for all those years. Mario, Luigi, Wario, and all that shit. Now, is there any significance to that? Probably not. But I do find it interesting just because it like kind of links Nintendo somehow with like this shit, even though it probably wouldn't normally be linked with them at all, kind of deal. Um, so I do find that kind of funny that he is voiced by Charles Martinet for probably no real good reason, honestly. Let me see if I could find. So, yes, that is perfect. Look at that fucking thumbnail, man. That is Cell Max shooting lasers out of his fucking body, or his fucking weird spots all over his body. All magenta. Massive fucking amount of magenta. His
Alright, we've got 2 civs right off the back. Energy scope is...
Yeah, let me mute his voice, but yeah. So
Indeed. Right,
you
oh!
so you turn
Oh my god, we have to save him.
you play as this fucking guy Magenta for a little bit.
I want to know if you can lose as him. That's what I want to know, but I don't want to know at the same time. Do you guys get what I mean? Alright, activating clone. Activating... Guys, hop off. Dude, he is so slow. Okay, let's just sneak around. Failure is not an option. They can just cook on the STM while I'm doing this. This is terrible.
And then here's the one who releases Cellmax.
Let's get it. Cellmax. So that was my...
Magenta, Dr. Fauci releases
That
Cellmax
got destroyed, I'm pretty sure. So like I was playing as a clone there.
from basically like what else was this used in? This kind of like animation.
Look at this animation. This looks sick. This is probably the best animation in the entire game.
Oh shit!
Like,
Oh shit, I didn't even notice that. Fucking, you got the magenta and the green together.
this is probably the...
And that you got the fucking green and the magenta coming together. And then releasing Cellmax.
animation in the entire game. Like,
And then you got this thing. What other game had that? Like almost the exact same kind of like animation.
So right now.
But I guess that could kind of just like symbolize like a uterus and then like a birth, basically, because basically Cellmax is being born from this like uterus kind of cell shit, or whatever you want to call it. This enclosure.
Entire game. Like actually, I'm being serious. So serious right now. So serious. I'm Cellmaxing. So they have Beast and they have fucking Orange Piccolo. That's scary as shit. Alright, where is he? Where is he?
But yeah, when you win as him,
They had the... Sorry, like, I honestly... Yeah, Cellmax is an instant win. Scammers, dude.
yeah, he just shoots magenta lasers everywhere
Cellmax is an instant win.
when you win as him.
He just took down...
Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm doing a really poor job explaining this, but it is just like such weird fucking symbolism. As I saw, like I was finding it as I was just viewing it there, which I guess isn't surprising to anybody watching this at this point. But you got fucking Charles Martinet playing that character Magenta. The guy's name is fucking Magenta. Him releasing the Cellmax from like this uterus thing, or birthing him from this uterus thing. You got the fucking green gas or whatever, the green stuff and the magenta fucking stuff coming together at the same time. And just like with Matt talking about the combining of the magenta and the green or whatever, or the changing over from the magenta and the green, basically, as well as when in the first part you're playing as these two characters, these gamma androids,
Like,
as the first like levels of this Raider evolution, whatever. Your first part you're playing as these two androids that are good guys, but then yeah, that was kind of the thing I was thinking of, is that you're playing as these two good good machines or whatever that are trying to save people, but then at the end, when the Magenta comes in, that being the guy literally named fucking Magenta, when Magenta comes in, that's when another android gets created or birthed or whatever, and that android, technically not a machine, I guess, like it's a bio android, but the same fucking thing. It's a synthetic thing, not a real like Not it's a synthetic thing, like a robot or a robot kind of an android, and it's being birthed by Magenta or being transformed from something to something else. The Magenta doing that, um, and then instead of saving people, it just starts destroying them or whatever. I don't know. It's just I think you hopefully get what I'm trying to get at here is that the Magenta presentation being here and the kind of weird symbolism that I fucking saw from this, which is so weird, man. This fucking obscure ass game and just showing all this shit. I mean, I guess as well as I guess Dragon Ball Superhero, fairly obscure compared to other mainline Dragon Ball stuff, but still, the fact that it's fucking there, I just find it hilarious and just more proof of fake fucking reality, simulation here kind of shit. Synchronicities and all that stuff. I think I might have had more to say about that. I didn't do a great job explaining it or whatever, but I think I got most of what I wanted to say about that specifically. Um, and the last thing on that topic I wanted to talk about, still nobody within these various game communities get it and see what it is clearly being destroyed on purpose. Yeah, like just like with the movie review or critic nerds, constantly bitching about the woke and ruining the movies and stuff like that and all that shit. In these game communities, they constantly be getting fucked in the ass, and they don't get it. They don't fucking get it. They don't see like some of them might suggest like they, or like just question it like is this on purpose or something like that, but they never go fully over that hill and say like this is definitely on purpose, but they never also even with that they wouldn't even question. It would always be the within the, as Matt would say, that within the bookends kind of explanations. It's never um they never go outside of those bookend explanations. And that's the thing is like even though they keep getting fucked in the ass over and over and over again and it keeps getting worse and worse and worse, they still don't get it. So it's like once again, kind of the download or just the absurdity of it is that nobody even within these communities realizing like what is going on or noticing that stuff is going on, that stuff isn't right. Uh Stuff ain't right going on here. No different from, as I said, the movie reviewers and all that shit. Um, Another weird thing that I wanted to mention, once again, still about the destruction of history and stuff. Um, I noticed when I tried to look up like a pretty old meme that I remember, this one being I can't say it, which is kind of like the I can't say it on YouTube because that the video would get removed, but which is kind of also the point that I'm making here is that stuff that like was edgy, kind of like old internet memes and humor and like edgy shit, edgy memes and stuff. Like it's been kind of like memory hold and just like censored, removed from history and the internet and stuff. And like if you try to reference back to it, it's very hard. Like it's just been censored and destroyed basically. Like let's see this. Let's see. Um yeah, how did I look this up? Yeah, like this one I think if I looked this up like years ago, this would have came up with like the exact results that I was thinking of. But now it's like fucking gone. Oh, except there's like one example. There's like one example on like Know Your Meme of this stupid like edgy meme or whatever back then. But Oh, I should be careful here, but and I think if you try to look up some of the, yeah, that shows the image. But if you tried to like look up on an image kind of like database for this meme, like so many of the images are censored or like got removed or some shit like that. Just kind of like once again memory hold by the new internet is like these fucking memes. And wow, look at that thumbnail too. Is fucking with the Cell Max thing shit. The green and the magenta coming together. Oh fuck. Oh god. But yeah, like these some of these old internet memes being memory hold and deleted and censored, destroyed from history, destroyed from existence. Uh it's like those things can't exist anymore. The edgy R word stuff can't exist. It's not allowed anymore. Uh I think the last thing, I mean, I've been going on way too long here already anyway, but the last thing I wanted to ask um yeah, this one is specifically for I guess Rudy, or I guess anyone, but Rudy is one of the few people that consistently comments as well as that actually like makes replies and stuff. So it's like fuck it. About he's basically one of the few people that I basically am directly talking to because he's probably one of the few people that fucking listens to my shit. In all honesty, even though I know there's a few other people, but if there's nobody else commenting, then I'm like I can't exactly address any of them as anybody if I don't see them saying anything. Like they might as well not exist in that sense. But so Rudy recently, I don't know why I've been thinking of certain things, but so I had some just a little leak that I had to fix under the sink. Basically, it was the P trap, the nut joining point of the P trap. My uncle or whatever kind of put it in. It kind of was like crooked and shit, and it started leaking a little bit. And I only noticed like after it got a little bit fucked up on the bottom, like water, like not like water, that much water damage, but I was noticing a smell, like a damp smell. But I I fixed it myself. Like it wasn't that big of a deal. I just basically had to like reposition the nut and the pipes and stuff a little bit just to get it in the proper position again. And then once that happened, then the leak basically went away, kind of. But so I had to do a little plumbing there. My dad's had some stuff that I had to work on his car and everything recently, and I probably still will. Like one of his headlights went out, but I think he could do that. But stuff like that, these mundane little things that seemingly nobody really ever like talks about. These mundane little like issues or problems that come up or headaches or whatever you want to say, things that come up. How do you deal with those things? I'm just curious, like what comes up in your mind or what comes up. How do you deal with those things? Like say if you had like a leak, say if you had a leak under your sink or some shit, just some leak. Would you immediately go and call up some plumber or plumbing thing, or would you try to fix it yourself, or would you just put a bucket under it and just wait until like it becomes an issue or it becomes too annoying to call up somebody to fix it or something like that, or once again look up things to fix it yourself, shit like that. Um, how much are you willing to pay for those kind of things if those things happen? Because I know when just calling a plumber to do like almost anything is like $500 now, or like some shit for them to just come and do almost anything is like fucking 400, $500. Same thing with car issues. Like, do you like what year is your current cars? Like, are they like new cars? Are they used cars? Like, or old as fuck cars? Like, our cars are pretty old. My dad's car is a 2012 Honda Civic, so it's pretty old at this point. Not that old, but it's pretty old. My mom's car is like a 2005 14, 2014 GMC Terrain, and my car was a 2013 Hyundai Elantra. That thing sucked dick. Thank God it is gone. But yeah, like what's I just out of curiosity, what are your car or cars that you drive? And when you have, do you have mechanical problems? Like that's the thing. It's like it seems like besides on these videos that I look up, like nobody ever talks about having like car issues or like what they had to do to deal with car issues. And I know a lot of people don't know anything about cars or a lot of things in general, like like mechanic stuff or whatever. So as soon as you have issues, do you like bring it to a mechanic, or do you try to fix it yourself, or what happens? Like, or do you even have mechanical issues? Do they just not happen to certain people? It's just fucking just a weird thing that came to my mind. I'm like, why does nobody ever talk about some of these things? It's just strange to me. These like mundane things, but like when you think about the cost, they're not really mundane. Like if you go to a mechanic or a shop or something, like a lot of the time it's gonna cost like at least like $200, which for some people like that's not a small amount of money. Like and depending on what the thing is, the price just goes up and up. Like I don't know, just out of curiosity, somebody that has a family, um, you have a kid, you have a wife. I don't know if you're the only one working in your household and your wife is just a housewife and stuff, but what do you guys do? I know my parents, they're financially irresponsible, so they never really have spare money. They just use the credit cards. But like me, I try to fix things to help them save money and whatever. But I'm just curious what you do, because I kind of doubt when you're working full time, like you really have that many opportunities to fix things and figure out how to fix things and shit like that. Yeah, I don't know. Just a weird question. I was just curious what you do when you have seemingly mundane problems come up. Like what's your procedure, or what's your way of thinking when stuff like that comes up? Like how annoyed are you, and how much are you concerned about like money or some bullshit like that if you have to pay somebody or something? Maybe you rent where you live, so maybe you don't have to worry about maintenance as much because it's like that's up to the person who owns it, not you. Or maybe you don't, or you don't, but you just don't worry that much, or maybe I don't know. Just a weird question. Um, just a weird curiosity I had. But besides all that fucking rambling, I'm gonna end this video now. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed, and have a good one. See ya.